Good day, nerds, and welcome to episode 7 of the Nerd Cantina Show. I am your host, Ken, and joined by the usual co-host, Steve. Today, we're excited to bring our first guest co-host, who happens to be a semi-pro League of Legends player and the community manager for a new game, Heavy Metal Machine, Matt Bosko. Of course, we're going to hit this week's news by covering the Far From Home trailers, a quick Game of Thrones recap. We discussed the Russo brothers scrambling to justify some end-game flaws. And we discussed some internet trolls. Once done with the news, we also go in depth with Matt on League of Legends and pro gaming. So let's get to it.
Calling back all nerds. Nerds!
All right, well, welcome to episode 7 of the Nerd Cantina Show. As normal, I'm here with co-founder Steve, but most importantly, we've got a guest host today. For the first time ever, we'll have a guest host on the Nerd Cantina Show. And we've got Matt Bosko. Hey, Matt, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm honored that I'm your first. That's incredible. My name is Matt Bosko. I am part of Super League's Chicago Force, 3-time League of Legends champions, and I am also.
Of course, he leads with
it's
that.
the 3-time.
Lead with
I mean,
yeah,
I know Dr. Disrespect enjoys talking
not one,
about the
not 2,
two-time,
but 3.
But I'm the 3-time. I also am the North American community manager for Hoplon, which has a MOBA out now called Heavy Metal Machines. So check it out.
Awesome. So obviously, we got a nerd expert here with us today, and we're going to lead off the show with our normal topics, and we're going to hit up some of the weekly news. Before we do that, though, we want to talk about Fight Me Friday, which we just had our first Fight Me Friday episode of the Nerd Cantina Show last Friday. And for those of you who didn't check it out, just want to talk real quick about what it is. And it's essentially just nerds battling. This first one was going over The Last Jedi.
So me and an old guildmate from World of Warcraft, Corey, that I still keep in contact with heavily, have been just incessantly tagging each other in memes and in every article that revolves around The Last Jedi. Because I walked out of that theater and it would just, you talk about a bad taste in your mouth. Try puking in your mouth 15 times over a 2-hour span and just walking out just and he walked out and he was completely happy with it. And for 2 years now, it's just been if I see on my notifications Corey from tag, I know, it's one of two things. It's either the Kansas City Royals or it's The Last Jedi. And we have just gone back and forth. And so we thought it would be really good to do that as our first Fight Me Friday episode. It's not going to be a weekly thing like we do with the news. It's going to be hard to try to do 2 weekly shows. So we're just going to try to find people, through our voicemail line, through the comment section, our forum section on the website, our private, our closed Facebook group that people are arguing in already constantly. And we're just going to try to pull those fun arguments that everybody has and really put it out there for our listeners. It's really good to put all these points out there and then have people kind of have another medium to join in on.
Yeah, so for those of you listening, if you're not a part of the Nerd Cantina Facebook group, just come join us. You can easily find us at thenerdcantina.com/community, which will take you automatically to the Facebook group, or just search in Facebook for the Nerd Cantina. Request to join the group, and you'll see every Friday we have a post in the group encouraging people to have some healthy debates, and we're going to pull from those in order to have some Fight Me Friday episodes coming up, talking about whether it's older movies, books, series that have existed in nerd culture, debates on PC gaming versus console gaming, debates on whatever you and your friends are having. Feel free to reach out, and we'll see if we can relive some of those in the podcast forum.
I do want to give a big thank you to our friend of the show, Derek of Triple Darkness, part of the Drama Award. He did our theme song for the Fight Me Friday edition, and I do have to say it is probably the best theme song in the land of podcasts. Most people just chime in with some elevator music or some beats. He actually dropped some really good bars that go right in hand with our Fight Me Friday episode. So thanks to Durek.
For the nerd rap alone, you should at least check out the first episode of Fight Me Friday, because it is the best podcast intro ever. All right, so let's move on to this week's news. First off, light topic on the Sonic trailer, and not because we want to talk about the movie, because the movie looks like childish trash, and it looks like they've taken my childhood and a great video game and turned it into a really terrible movie. But the one of the bigger issues with it is this director rework. The trolls came out and just said Sonic looked creepy as hell, and I agree. Those aren't trolls; those are just reasonable human beings who recognize that Sonic looked terrible.
I didn't think he looked. I didn't care. I could care less. It's a little blue cartoon guy. He looked more realistic of an animal / combination of a human. Didn't look too cartoony, but. I really didn't care. How'd you feel about it, Matt?
I think that people wouldn't have been as critical if we didn't have a movie like Detective Pikachu coming out, where they have taken these cartoon characters and made them look more realistic and closer to, what they really look like in their cartoon form, versus comparing that to what Sonic did. I think that there's a pretty obvious dip in quality there. So I think it kind of had this unfortunate timing behind the fact that, Sonic speaks to, I believe, all three of us at a nostalgia standpoint. So in our mind's eye, we have this very finite idea of what we think Sonic should look like, even brought into the real world. And I think that if people are, it's 2019, it's the internet, everything's inflammatory. If there is a reason for people to get upset, they will, and they have.
Well, you want to talk about childhood. You're talking to a man that's seen the original Super Mario Brothers movie in the theater and paid $4 for that back in the day with a tiny Beetlejuice head Goomba and non-Italian plumbers. So for me to get anything in the
I was too young to realize that was a bad movie, by the way. I thoroughly enjoyed the Super Mario movie, so you could go fuck yourself.
So if that's where the bar kind of has been originally set for these video game movies, like, are we dissecting this a little too much? It wasn't that bad. I'm not going to lie and not say that the rendition that they've put out of the rework isn't better. I do like how the eyes are bigger, the legs are skinnier. He looks more cartoony, therefore, it looks like they're trying less, which kind of works in their benefit. But, the original one, when I first watched the trailer, I didn't really have a reaction to the way he looked. I was more worried about Jim Carrey.
And he looks just like Jim Carrey, which I think is it's interesting when actors get to a point in their life where they just kind of are done playing the character. It's Jim Carrey playing Jim Carrey at this point.
Yeah, and they have the little snip of him at the end where he's bald with the goggles and stuff. But it looks like from the movie.
I think he walked off the set of Batman Forever and he just said never again.
well, why isn't he a thick boy? Where's our thick boys in here? Robotnik, he's an eater. He likes to eat.
Yes, this is.
Come on,
man. Yeah, I get it. So my problem that I have with all this is we are setting now a dangerous precedent for going forward in movies. So now that this has been reworked and everybody likes the new version, is Twitter now going to be the free focus group for every movie producer going forward? And is that a good thing for film or a bad thing? Because internet mobs are not who I want deciding damn near anything, to tell you the truth. The internet mobs are only good for really causing a stir, and it rarely works out in this situation where it's beneficial to the end product or whatever situation that's going on.
Yes, they should be using Twitter and whatever else as a free focus group. If you are a public relations for whatever movie studio, if you're not using that to focus group what's going to work on some things like this, then you're just missing an opportunity. I don't think it sets a bad precedent because the overall goal of these movies is to satisfy viewers and to make money. And if that was a distraction, if all of your press coming out of the trailer was negative, and this is one of the major things that you can go ahead and fix, why wouldn't you go fix this? I don't think it's going to snowball to where every movie's now going to have like a soft release of trailers and then go back and rework. That's not going to happen.
I wouldn't say never.
I think that the other thing that we need to focus on here is having actual focus groups cost a good amount of money when you're trying to get into the marketing side of things, right? So this is a free medium that they can source material from. So I agree with Ken. I think that it's intelligent to use it, but I wouldn't let it dictate all of your decisions, because if you try to make everybody happy, you tend to make no one happy.
And that's the thing too, is every medium has a different audience and a different reaction. Do you want the people of 4chan dictating your entertainment values? I sure as shit don't. Reddit is full of nothing but elitists, so they're going to nitpick and shit on anything that they do. They're never happy on Reddit. 4chan's nothing but trolls. They're going to purposefully fuck up Sonic because they think it's funny. So you go to Facebook, the focus group, you're going to get every 40-year-old, 50-year-old dude that just wants it like their childhood. So where do we draw the line? Who are you targeting to get these opinions from? Because if you just put it out there, the feedback that you're getting back isn't there's no control, so focus groups have been traditionally used to hit target markets. They bring in 18 to 30-year-olds. They bring in, and it's a specific niche that they're trying to hit. You don't know who's complaining on Twitter. You don't know who's complaining.
Yeah, but this is modern day marketing. Like there are people that this is their job. They are high paid individuals, and this is their job, is to take all that noise from all these different sources and then to make sense of it, and then to figure out which ones are meaningful, which ones are actually driving the target audience that you're seeking to go and buy the tickets to see these movies in the first place, and then make them happy. There are people who this is what they're trained to do. This is what they understand to do. And if you are a major movie company, you should have the right people in place to filter through that noise and find the meaningful voices. It shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, there are tools now for marketing companies to be able to dissect your followers based on demographic too. I mean, there are so many plugins nowadays from a marketing and sales point. My primary gig is on the sales side of things. So, and it'll blow your mind what I can find out about you.
Metadata.
But let's not ignore the fact that if they did this same thing with Captain Marvel, the end game of Captain Marvel would be show her tits more and have her make a sandwich. Because that's where they were going with on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's where the incels got all up in arms about Captain Marvel. And if you just take info without at least doing that due diligence, like Matt said, and finding the analytics and finding out who is actually saying these things, which a lot of people aren't going to take that fucking
those
time.
People, but like you said, like Matt was saying, the tools will identify that those people saying nonsense like that are vocal, but not the majority, and they're not the target audience. Whereas you can pull and find out where the majority lines and where the demographics are as far as what you've already analyzed as who your target audience is to buy it. The people who are saying, show us your tits, Captain Marvel, that's a small amount. Yeah, they're vocal as hell, and they're going to get out there and they're going to ruin
Rotten. They're going to
ruin Rotten Tomatoes.
It's really the most vocal
but you can filter that out.
Win these arguments.
It's easy to filter
Here's
that out.
the thing, though, you guys, too. I mean, you're trying to compare these Marvel situations to Sonic. Nobody's gonna fucking see this movie. I mean, come on. The only way I'm gonna see this is you're gonna pay me to do it. That's the only way.
I write movie reviews. I have to see this. Like, I'm, it's in my genre. It's in my kind of niche. I kind of just even shit on it. I have to go see it.
Way to take one for the team.
I did that. I did it with Hellboy.
Is this Sonic thing? Is this a precedent that even big players like Marvel and stuff are going to have to fall to? And I don't think so. I agree. I think that they've done enough of their focus groups. They know their target. Most of these movies know exactly what they're trying to attempt to reach in the first place. Sonic is just this movie they're going to they're going to
this
fight to break
reminds me
even.
of like the Cory Doctorow interview. You know, like used in the proper way, this could be actually a really good tool to where it fixes a small gripe with Sonic and maybe makes it a little bit better of a movie and makes them more profitable. But there is also the dark side where you're going to have movie companies that only give a shit about profit and only give a shit about what the loudest of the people are saying. And
I'm not mad at them for that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like,
their job.
If they don't read the analytics right and they only are profit driven rather than, profit shouldn't be the only thing driving entertainment. If that's the only thing driving entertainment, you're not going to get movies with substance. You're not going to have a Sundance movie festival. You're not going to have movies that are made to only make a small amount of money, but are really out there to provoke thought, to provide culture, to do these things. We're going to get to the, back to the 80s where it's just nothing but movies like Tango and Cash and Commando, and it just like, let's just blow a bunch of shit up, let's have a bunch of sex scenes, and let's get these $15 tickets. Let's just do it. And
Marvel movies.
I don't know. It's all this. It's this exact system they have now. You get rewarded for being profitable for meeting a target audience, but then there's still always going to be those people out there who are willing to do the Sundances, who are willing to do the artistic representation, who are willing to make a lower budget film with lower budget top end because it creates.
They want to get their
artistic
vision out,
representation.
Right?
Yeah. So it's always going to exist. And I'm not mad at the use of focus groups, metadata, tracking really what everybody's into and trying to say, okay, hey, this year we've got X amount of people searching these topics, X amount of people looking at this information, and the target demographic of the 20 to 35-year-old individuals, that's who we're going to target. We're going to make a movie for those people. Got it. That's always existed. It just was harder to do it in the past than it is now.
That's always some of my harshest critical points in a lot of these movies is that they're over focus grouped, is that you get a movie, and without having to go into another debate that we've kind of already had, but you have movies that just take focus group info and then write a script to weave in between that focus group info, and it turns out to be a shit movie because there's no creative thought to it. It was, I want this scene, I need this to happen, fill in the it's an ad-libs fucking movie. And those ad-libs movies fucking suck.
Marvel. That's Marvel and major productions who are trying to have every audience, right? They're not targeting any audience. They're going after every audience. And there's a difference there. Matt, with you on the sales side, how much of this data do you think goes into kind of that pre-production point, or does it just go to marketing after the fact?
I believe, now I'm not in the movie side of sales, but this is just what I think as far as is concerned. I think that you're people that are going to be overly analytics driven are people that don't have strong brands. So Marvel has less to worry about because they have created this strong brand. But usually the first ones to get this data is the marketing people, because they're the ones who are going to have to adjust campaigns, change their approach, change the demographic. Because on places like Facebook and Twitter and whatnot, you can create campaigns that only people between 21 and 35 or 18 and 31 will see. In certain areas of the United States, you can really get into a micro in these things. So I think that in this scenario, I think that like the Sonics will want to use as much of this data as possible, because like you guys said, they're going to have to fight for every dollar, right? They need to figure out a way to do this. So if they can please 30,000, 40,000 people with this, well, take that $15 ticket price, add that on, how have they just increased their sales, right? So it's an interesting thought.
So out of those 30,000 people, do we really think they're all going to be saying, hey, they listened to me, I should really go see this now? Or is it still fuck them, I'm not going to see this movie? So are they really catering to the audience that's going to pay to go see this movie? Or are they just catering to people they want to go see this movie that have opinions?
unfortunately in sales you don't have that choice of forcing people to go. So I mean, yeah, they're catering and they're bending the knee to the nerd masses, but I think in video game culture that we're a powerful voice, and I think that if we find a quality product, we lift it up. If we don't think it's quality, well, you've seen what we do with it. So yeah.
And we're purists. We want to see it. We want to see it in the form that we're used to seeing it. Like we don't. And again, I'm sure that somebody on the marketing side and the production side looked at it and said, "Well, how much is it going to cost us to rework Sonic at this point? Okay, how much do we anticipate that this will give us positive press and sell tickets?" Got it. The net reward.
Yeah, it was a net positive.
Net positive
it was a
here.
net positive.
Let's just do
it. Like I said, in this
situation,
it worked. It scares me going forward. I'm happy that it worked in this situation, but it does scare me that going forward, it's going to be a prop up her tits, blow up more shit kind of world we live in, because the internet sucks at times. Like, yeah, granted, it gives you a great meme 5 seconds after some crazy pop culture shit happened. But for the most part, the internet's a terrible, dirty, horrible place.
And I love it. I loved seconds into the Sonic trailer. There's already just memes and everything else just shitting on it. Like it is great.
They have no chill.
I love the
internet has no chill.
Oh,
and that
so
can go
great.
Good or bad. And I'm fearful of the bad. I can say that.
Always good. All right, I can't believe we just talked about Sonic this much. So,
neither can I. I'm impressed.
So let's go ahead and, I guess, transition to more relevant. And Game of Thrones, real fast. No spoiler talk here, but we're going to talk a bit about Game of Thrones and my favorite part, because the internet has no chill. And it's a damn Starbucks coffee cup. It's sitting at Khaleesi's table.
Yeah, the best part of that is everybody now typing out the way that the Starbucks barista would misspell Khaleesi on the cup. I've read thread after thread now of people just like butchering how you spell Khaleesi, because that's how it would go down. Colossi, iced mocha for Colossi.
I'm just interested to look at, watch HBO Go next week in the streaming services, when now that cup's just going to be replaced with like a gigantic piece of chicken or something. Like it's not going to be there anymore.
If you didn't see it last night, you're going to have to find it on some screenshot somewhere, because HBO, I'm sure, is scrambling right now. Who the fuck did this?
I mean, it asks for the meme that Khaleesi is truly a basic white girl, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
every basic bitch is gonna go get a dragon tattoo now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's funny though. I mean, I love watching those, After the Thrones, behind the scenes things, and they just put another one out today that was about 18 minutes long. But yeah, it's crazy, but that's show business, right?
It is hilarious. But on the actual side of the show, I like where this is going. We talked about at the end of episode 3, following the Battle of Winterfell and the abrupt ending to White Walkers in the show. And me, I was happy about it. Happy that we were progressing the story back into the human drama, the human conflict, and this show moves it forward. It's right where I want to see. There's a lot of political undertones. There's a lot, again, without getting into spoilers, but there's a lot that's moving, and I think this episode really shaped out well.
Yeah, minus 3 or 4 epic moments. It was really more, again, of character-driven, recalibrating everyone's trajectories of where we're going to go forward. I mean, we only have, 2 episodes left, so really they're just kind of pointing the characters in the directions they're going to go, and I'm assuming these last 2 episodes are just going to shoot them off into the sunset. So it was needed. it did get back to its roots. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll agree with you too. I'm happy that it finally got back to its roots. I think that throughout the kind of start of this season, characters felt a little bit more vanilla. It's like it's almost like they pulled back on why we loved this show. And don't get me wrong, I love some explosions, the fire, the fighting, like crazy, right? But I'm glad they finally came around and got back to
it did feel a little bit in the sense at the beginning of the season that they were catering to the mass amount of binge streamers that are just jumping on the bandwagon rather than the original fans that have been sucked in by a character drama driven show that, you know, so you can tell that they're catering a little bit more towards the bandwagon than the original true fan base that they started with.
See, I don't know. I disagree. Are you saying that this season they are going more towards the bandwagon?
In the beginning of the season, you could tell they went a little more bandwagon.
So I thought that this season, originally, if you would have asked me 4 episodes ago, prior to the premiere of this season, I thought the season was really just going to be an action-packed, get to the people who just want to see the battle scenes over and over again, and just we're going to constantly go through multiple episodes of the Battle of Winterfell, multiple episodes then with the battle that's going to take place between Cersei and everybody else. And I think they've actually slowed down the pace a lot more than I thought because they're going back towards the political roots and the true story development and not the easy high production value battle scenes.
The main point I guess I would say to argue against that would be the fact that they didn't rip your heart out in the Battle of Winterfell. Like Mormont, okay, like it's all right, you know, one dude from the Night's Watch, okay, you took him, but they didn't chop a fucking Ned head off like they did in the beginning of the season. They didn't fucking red wedding anybody in that fucking battle. They didn't, you know what I mean? So like was it
because we expected it though? Like all of us expected it, right? And then all of a sudden, this, you know, they're on their way there. And while I don't want to get too far into it, but what had happened was oh wow, okay. Like the thing that the Game of Thrones prides itself is crushing us when we feel good, and we knew that battle was coming. We knew we weren't going to feel good, and all of a sudden we kind of got out a little clean, right? So I'm curious on if they're, you know, they're gonna put the dagger in. It's gonna happen at some point. What is it gonna look like, right? So
well, and this is it also has a lot to do with that. This is unwritten territory. R.R. Martin didn't set this out in a previous book, you know. So as they were beholden to the literature for the first 6 seasons, you know, they're not beholden to that anymore. So now the producers and script writers have more control. And I don't think they're as cutthroat as Martin. I don't think R.R. Martin don't give a fuck about your feels. I think the producers of HBO kind of give a shit about your feels, you know? And
actually, George R.R. Martin has just recently did an interview, and I'll post it underneath when this episode comes up. That he did an interview where he talked about how while there is nothing written for these last 2, he's working on the last 2 books, I should say, that they did kind of come up with what he says is pretty close to how he envisions the ending. So the nice thing to know is that at least he's collaborated with them a little bit. So we'll get something kind of close, but I'm curious on what that looks like. I'm sure I could fan theory myself to death now.
Sure.
We'll wait for everybody to catch up.
Before one of us fuck up, we should probably move on to the next trailer that we wanted to talk about today.
Oh, all right. I was going to say the other interview with George R.R. Martin where he talks about the 3 spinoffs that he's currently working with HBO.
Well, I mean, we could stick with Game of Thrones. I was just afraid of giving something away.
No. So, no, I was just curious on, if we're going to go fan theory off of some George R.R. Martin talk. You know, this week he talked about how there's 3 of his 5 proposed spinoffs that are still progressing in the HBO world, one of which is in kind of production, 2 of which are still in writing. It seems that the one that's in production, at least he's talked about, is going to be more on the lore of the old Seven Kingdoms. It's going to go back in time and explain how it is here. I can't imagine them doing any spin-offs that are going to use any current characters because it's just too costly. Like you want to go and reset and go use old people, but if you ask anybody from the current seasons to do,
they're going to Downey them. They're going to Robert Downey them really hard.
Yeah, you're
they're 10 years in already.
You're not affording that show.
Yeah. No, I thought what was interesting is Martin's references. He can't talk about what it's about, but you should pick up of course he's plugging his own stuff, the Fire and Blood history of Westeros. And you might be able to find something in there. So, yeah, I mean, it's weird. He's like, I don't like to call them prequels, but they're, I don't know. It
is a Tolkien-esque kind of world, though, they've created. Mm-hmm. If you've watched all these seasons or have read all these books and you don't yearn to know what Valyria was like, do you really care? Like, do you really care about the show then? So I would love to have a show based on old Valyria and what happened to that time. I would love to hear, I said last week, I want to know now that the Battle of Winterfell's done, I want to know more about the Lord of Light and the Seven, the religious aspects of these shows that they kind of just really majorly just gloss over. It's part of the world, but they don't ever really get into the intricacies of it or anything like that. So, I mean, if they're done well, I'm all for the spinoffs. Like, yeah, give me more.
What would be a spinoff you'd like to see?
Like I said, I want Valyria. I want to know kind of what down in Valyria, the fall of Valyria. If you just gave me 5 seasons of the fall of Valyria, the culture, and how it crumbled and everybody migrated to Westeros. Like, I'd love that.
That would be neat. I would love a Brothers Without Banners type thing, because that way they're not stuck in one place and they can kind of go around, with the Beric and all them.
Yeah.
Especially because he's like come back to life several times. I mean, I don't think that's a spoiler. I think we've all known that from previous seasons. So, he's an interesting dude to me, and that sword's pretty fire, no pun intended. And so yeah, that would be what I would want to see.
What about you, Ken?
Yeah, I just want to get off Westeros, right? Bringing back some of the explanation. Everything centers largely on this single island, and why is Westeros the only prominent area that is ever discussed. So, bringing in about the rest of the world, explaining down to Dornish and everybody else that really doesn't have an explanation as to why are they so prominent in that region. There's got to be other stories to be told there, and I think it'd be a good kind of offshoot where we're not reliving Westeros, but still in that world, that same level of mysticism that exists in the rest of the world.
No, it should be exciting.
All right, so now let's move to the other trailers of the week. Really the only one that's major. There's 2 trailer releases for Far From Home. First one came out earlier in the week, and then today Far From Home trailer 2 came out. First trailer had a light spoiler in the sense that Fury was in it, and trailer 2 is just it just ruins. And if you haven't seen Endgame, don't see the trailer. Also, if you haven't seen Endgame, don't listen to us talk right now, because you've had 2 full weekends to see it. Our 10-day policy of no spoilers is over.
Fuck your face. But it is interesting that I think a movie studio now is kind of like setting the spoiler window. Like Marvel just officially, by releasing this today, said you get 2 weeks, you get 10 days. So is that the acceptable time frame to talk about it now that Marvel's released a trailer that gives away it? Can we all just flood the internet on it?
Maybe they just put a money time frame. Maybe they said once they got their $2 billion, then they'll go ahead and do it. Sure. That just happened to take place in 10 days.
But yeah, like now, like we're approaching that window where people are just going to start talking about this shit carefree, and should you feel bad about it at this point now? Like,
I'll be honest. So. This is really honest out of me. I have not seen Endgame, and I still watched everything because I wanted to know what my reaction would be not seeing it. And I was like, oh, I might go see Endgame now. Like, I like a lot of the Marvel universe and whatnot, but I kind of was one of those people that got inundated with the whole superhero thing to the point where I was like, it's kind of like if you keep drinking the same thing, if you're like, if I gotta have one more Budweiser, I'm gonna lose it, right? Or you know, so I was kind of at that point, so I had fallen off a little bit. But you know what, I will say that actually seeing this trailer, which was a spoiler, actually made me more interested to see Endgame versus not seeing it.
Yeah, well, I'm interested to hear your reaction with knowing a little bit of context going in, how you like the movie, because for me, they overhyped, they overpromised, and I was disappointed leaving the theater.
Interesting. Well, maybe I'll wait till it comes out to rent on Disney Plus. Can't wait to pay for another service.
Hey, like I told Ken, man, that Disney Plus service, man, that's a sore dick. You can't beat that value, man. It's worth every penny, especially if you have small children. Especially if you have small children, to be able to stream all that content. You know, like I remember the days of those big ass VHS cases that people just had all over the bookshelf, and they'd show you when they come over, like, look, I have my own Disney vault. I've paid thousands of dollars to rewind this content over and over and wear this tape out for my 4-year-old. You know, to finally just be able to stream it for all these kids, like I'm looking forward to that. That's for sure.
Yeah. But the Far From Home trailer, it's you know, it paints Mysterio as a good guy in another realm. It's opening up the multiverse, which can go, you know, it can go really ugly ways that have no continuity and gets really convoluted fast. Or opening up the multiverse opens up the ability for Marvel to bring in creative ways, to bring in, you know, mutants, to bring in the X-Men, to bring in everybody into one universe as the multiverses start to collide.
I've always had the opinion that multiverse and time travel are fun stories. I do love them. I love quantum physics. When you do it right, it works really well. It's very thought provoking. It can have original takes on it and stuff. But for the most part, Marvel and DC have used the multiverse and time travel as cop-outs. Hey, we killed this guy.
Well, and they have in the comics.
Hey, we killed this guy. Oh, no, we didn't. Comics, that was Batman from realm blah, blah, blah. We didn't really kill the real Batman, and that's the thing is, it's another thing with, like, the internet mob, like we said. They try to do something original, and they try to do something groundbreaking, and they kill someone off. And then they get all this negative fan feedback. You can't kill my favorite character, boo-hoo! Yeah. And they say,
the multiverse is the big reset
we
button.
didn't kill your favorite character. That was the character from Earth, 59C. You know, the real Flash is from Earth fucking, to me, it's a big cop-out, and this could be the moment where Marvel jumps the shark. Like, it really could.
I mean, Into the Spider-Verse worked for him. That was, I liked that. I think that it depends on what the medium is and how you portray it. But I agree with you too. I mean, if you're gonna have these cop outs where it's easy to bring people back out of the blue, I mean, it's part of the reason why I've kind of been like, man, it's weird because I think all of us got to a point where we were like, oh man, it'd be so cool if our culture was just plastered everywhere and it was finally the cool thing. And I think that now that it's the cool thing, I'm just being inundated with all of this where it's like I can't even keep up anymore.
Yeah, as a man that has lived this life for a long time and has a lot of nerd tattoos and stuff, I'm really tired of seeing the same Target Batman shirt on every fucking dude that wants to claim himself a nerd now, that probably literally beat the shit out of nerds and spit on them and made fun of them all throughout their younger years. But now that it's in the pop culture lexicon, like, no, Batman's cool, man. Like, I like Batman. Like, I'm gonna buy this, 2 for $15 shirt from Target, and I'm gonna act like I'm part of the pop culture scene. And it's like, no, motherfucker, like, you didn't give a shit. Like, how many, if you're wearing that Batman shirt from Target and you ain't got a comic book at home, fuck your face. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of my life.
I know this is going to be a small aside, but I think this goes with what we're talking about. Last night I was going through Reddit, which I know you are so fond of, and I saw girls getting ready for prom doing like Daenerys hair and other hair of like superheroes and whatnot. And it's like, if I was a kid in high school and there were like the popular girls doing like that, I would have lost my mind. Like that never would have happened, right? Like, so I just think it's funny now, like that being on the outside, always wanting to be the cool kid or wanting to date the popular girl. Now the popular girls are doing stuff that we always knew was awesome, right? It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Stranger
funny.
Things has got like the most random people playing Dungeons and Dragons right now. Like how the fuck it's a really odd time to be a nerd because you don't know who your fellow nerds are anymore.
What a time to be alive.
All right, and to skip over the fact that you're just looking through subreddits for prom.
No, I was going
Go
to the
ahead.
Game of Thrones
No, it's
one.
fine.
Hey,
No,
hey,
yeah.
to each his own.
All right,
To
but
each
you
his
know
own.
what? Fuck it. I was looking for a good hairdo, okay? Sorry.
Got it. But when these movies get this big and everything is so ingrained now into just general culture, the movie production companies they have to appeal to these mass audiences, which also then comes with the rewriting of these things. We talked a great deal online about the Russo brothers and they're scrambling to explain all these issues. We talked about last week our overall impression of Endgame is just that it was just a focus grouped movie. It was just very much targeted at, hey, we're going to make the massive audience, people who don't necessarily need to craft a story, they just want to see their
Hey,
characters
remember
have
we
their
made
moment to
other
shine.
good movies. Pat me on the back for them.
And it ended up becoming a very, disjointed movie that didn't have a very good story. And then now, it just took a couple days following the release of the movie for the Russo brothers to have to start in interviews explaining their screw ups and not necessarily making excuses, just rewriting the rules of what is time travel, rewriting the rules of how things are to explain how you get certain moments within that movie. And it's just shit.
Yeah. And that's the thing is they're trying to cover their tracks from what I said originally in my reviews when I walked out of lazy writing, lazy production. We wanted XYZ, write me a story to get me to XYZ. And now that, people have noticed things, they have to come back and say, oh, well, no, this is how we're doing it here. In our world, physics works like this. Well, yes, they're movies and fantasy, and we take certain realities with a grain of salt for entertainment. But, the superhero genre, the one thing that we all take for granted is the fact that they're mostly in our reality. There's normal people walking around, there's our normal cities. It's just our reality with this added superhero element. You don't change what we know about space, time, and physics to cater that now. It's not a...
Yeah, it's not the fantasy genre like in novels and stuff where they write their own level of magic, their own level of physics, their own level of interaction with the world. We understand that the interaction with the world from the general people exists as humans exist now, with the exception of superpowers and superheroes. And
they're playing fast and loose, man.
Cut some corners. Yeah. They cut some corners. They made some changes. They made some explanations that don't make sense. And I get it. We can argue that the quantum physics and the time travel. I mean, it's all theoretical in nature, and so their theory operates different than ours. It doesn't even make sense towards the way they explain it in the movie and the way they go about it. It's just lazy. It insults the people who are actually paying attention, who are actually fans. And I get it. You can just shut off your brain and just say, oh, that's a cute Captain America moment at the end there. But it just doesn't make fucking sense.
The fact that they just expect audiences to accept anything they put out on a platter for me is frustrating. Now, I know plenty of moviegoers that like to just shut off their brain when they go to a movie and will accept anything they're spoon-fed from their favorite franchises. I'm not that dude. Like, I I like to be challenged when I watch a movie. I like to have, an experience that is in a certain context of what we already know. And I think, like I said, I think they're playing fast and loose with this, with invoking the multiverse and invoking time travel and things like that. You are opening up Pandora's box of just making a lot of mistakes that could be detrimental to your movie.
Yeah, or you can be an optimistic fanboy and just say that the multiverse opens up the ability to bring in Deadpool, bring in X-Men, bring in everybody under one umbrella as now people jump across the multiverse. Because otherwise, how do you explain that, mutants have always existed, just nobody talked about it during the original MCU? Well, no, we just bring them in now after the fact as a mature story arc that existed in a multiverse and now it gets brought into the MCU. So I think it has the ability to kind of tie everything together with a weird explanation.
They had a Captain Marvel, but nobody knew Captain Marvel was around till after Thanos did the snap. Like nobody heard of this woman. You know what I mean? Like yeah. I mean that obviously some things are far-fetched, but the things that existed on Earth are harder to get by. Again, talking about X-Men, talking about Deadpool, talking about some of the other major franchises they're
that
probably
MCU is going to want to bring in.
All the Fox properties. And in rebooting them, why do you have to bring them from the multiverse? Why can't you just have the dawn of the mutants be right now? You don't have to invoke a dangerous precedent of multiverses and time travel. I don't know if they're just banking on their audience being too stupid to notice this shit, which is offensive, or if they're actually going to try to do a good story with it. If they do it well, my hat's off to them, and I really hope they do. But given what I've seen in Endgame and knowing about what, how movie production goes, man, this could be the moment where they jump the shark and we start really going downhill with the superhero genre.
Yeah. Well, to transition out of the movie industry, and let's have some discussions around gaming. And
we do,
the first
we
one
do
that
have
we
a
wanted,
semi-pro gamer here. We
do have a gamer here. So
for a little bit.
Let's not talk about Endgame with the guy who
the one fucking dude who hasn't seen Endgame yet.
Yeah,
I was like, later.
So I've on Twitter been catching a lot of arguments between the female streaming community and the audience. There are a lot of women. We had Erica Fett on our show, second episode, that are very comfortable in their bodies and use that to their advantage in their online careers.
But is a true nerd.
But Erica is a true nerd. She does love gaming, and she has no problem using her assets to help promote her gaming lifestyle. Then you have a lot of women who aren't so comfortable with themselves, who are more on the traditional nerdy side, that aren't so comfortable with their bodies and don't feel that it's appropriate to use their bodies to garner streams.
It's not even always that they're comfortable, whether they're comfortable or not. It's whether do they even have to resort to
there is
displaying their bodies in order to get a following.
There is an opinion that says I shouldn't have to do this to garner streams. You should be watching me because I'm a good gamer, not because I'm a good gamer with boobs. It's a touchy subject right now because it falls in line with the current 2019 trends of social justice and slut shaming and things like that. But it invokes that conversation, so we have real gamers who aren't comfortable using that. You have real gamers who are comfortable using that. And then you just have women with boobs who want money, and I'll play video games to get it. So how do we separate them? Are all three acceptable in the gaming community? Should we prioritize, who we give our streams to based on gaming talent and things like that? Or because it's a visual medium, should people just care? I don't care. I want to look at fun things, and video games plus boobs equals win. like where it's a very kind of touchy subject right now, and it's starting to turn into a toxic conversation.
Is it touchy though? Like I feel like when we, especially in this conversation, it's like honesty time. Okay, if you are more attractive, you are going to get more attention.
That's just a fact of life. That's just a fact of life that we have to deal with. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's modeling, movies, TV shows, doesn't matter, right? So if Twitch is another medium and it's a streaming service, right? It makes sense that more guys who, and again, I'm going to start doing some pretty blanket grouping things, and I'm sure people probably get offended.
Oh, we're going to make some people mad right now.
Yeah, right. Most guys that are nerds that are going to be spending that much time watching someone stream, especially if it's a woman, definitely does not have a girlfriend, okay? And this might be, and as sad as this might sound, it's the reality. This might be the closest thing that a lot of gamers get outside of their interaction with their mother or a sister to another female, because a lot of the times they might have the social anxiety to approach someone and show that type of interest. So in a weird way, you feel like when you're watching Twitch enough, you're actually getting to know that person, even though they have no idea who the hell you are, except for when bits come in or when you subscribe to them. I mean,
and that really personality that's on Twitch most likely isn't their personality.
Oh, absolutely not. They're putting up a huge front. So do I feel bad for girls that respect themselves more? No, I think it's great. Play the game. Do it because you love it. If you are doing Twitch because you want to become famous and wealthy, you're going to fail 100%. It's the people that have found their niche, that enjoy what they're doing, that have been able to grow their following. I mean, people that have these type of like body paint streams or, dance, like just dance streams. That's a fad. People will watch that for a little while because it's the thing, and they'll move on. They want to have someone who's more organic and who's a lot more fun. And I think that's why I'm in no hurry to try to group, let alone women in general. I don't want to put them in a box. But what I'm really interested in is saying, our medium is open to everyone. Why? If people are upset, do something about it more than complain, right? Maybe we have to have stricter guidelines. I mean, because I will say some of this stuff that I see on Twitch, I can't believe that I'm not on Chatterbait by accident. I mean, it's pretty risque.
So that was going to be my only thing. Is honestly, if it's just a streamer in a bikini and she's using her attractiveness to get followers, I mean, that's the name of the game. You're not on Twitch because you want 10 people watching. No, you're on Twitch because you want 100,000 people watching, and you use whatever you can to grow that following.
And that's not a new concept.
Who don't want to do that. I respect that. If you just want people to watch because you want them to watch your gaming and you want them to hear your conversations and be a part of that, then build a following around that. And there's people who want
that.
And there just happens to be more people who want the tits, and that's fine. What I have an issue with is where it gets to a point of kind of obscenity that it's just not filtered, it's not controlled. I could 100% see the issues of the moms of America and stuff walking into their son's room, their teenage son's room, who's up there and who's just one piece of tape away from being porn and a video game porn, and it just is weird at that point. But otherwise, man, I just don't care.
As a person with two daughters, one who's starting to get into gaming, I do want the more discreet, true to the gamer females to have an avenue and not feel like they're being shoved out of this medium because of the fact that they
do have an avenue.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is
their followers just might not be as big, but that can go for the guys as well who can't compete with that, right? It's the same.
Oh yeah, I
concept.
can't stream because I get killed. I'm not good. So
I mean, Matt turned down our request to come topless today.
Yeah, I did.
And
But Steve does like boobies, so I was ready.
there's the same complaint exists across the board. Sex sells, right? That's the old adage that sex sells, and sex will continue to sell. It always will sell, especially in a gaming industry where a lot of these people watching the Twitch streams are that target demographic of puberty to 30 years old, and yeah, they want to see
well,
it.
and how much is should Twitch be held accountable for this? So you have Twitch banning people all the time. Some guy will get banned for 30 days for saying something ignorant, but a girl's top slips off and shows nudity to countless underage people, which technically is child porn. Like, well, not necessarily in the legal sense, porn, but you can't expose yourself to minors. Like, that's some sort of pedophilia. But and those women get banned for like 3 days. And end up getting 15,000 more followers because of it and all kinds of publicity.
So generates revenue for Twitch, right?
Exactly. So at what point do we hold the providers accountable also for what as a society we want the direction to go in, Well,
what about holding ourselves accountable though? I mean, we are the problem. We're the ones filling these rooms with views. I mean,
self-accountability? You want self-accountability in society?
God forbid.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, God forbid. It's everyone else's problem. That's right.
Well, and Twitch's accountability is their profitability, and that's their accountability. And guys who come on there and who say ignorant stuff, that use hate speech, that use improper profane language, those guys are going to get the bigger bans because those take Twitch followers away. Those deter people from their channel. And that's
does
the only
it really
thing
though?
They should give a shit
Does it really though?
Yes, it does.
So the more I say fuck on my Twitch makes people want to change the channel?
Is fuck going to get you banned? I don't know. I don't know the terms and services, but
no,
but you throw racial
fuck
slurs.
Is not going to get you banned, but
yes, I'm just I wasn't going to drop
N
N-bombs on here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's the level that's going to get you the 30-day ban, and then you repeat that again, and you're going to get a lifetime ban.
Well,
the breast that's increasing traffic. That's just the slap on the wrist. At the same time, it's a slap on the wrist followed by a pat on the back for the 40,000 followers that you just got. Like,
well, so at what point
do
these providers hit a status to where they fall under FCC regulations? Never. So YouTube, I should just be able to do amateur porn on YouTube.
I mean, you practically can.
Well, softcore.
Well, there you go. I mean, the thing is, it's too hard to regulate such an anomaly of people that you have working for you, right? But these are all private contractors.
But that's a big thing that they're debating now. Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, all these things. Are you a platform or are you a provider that falls under FCC regulations? Like, that's what they're trying to. That they're a platform, but yet if they're a platform, then you should be able. You don't ban people. You don't regulate it. A platform's not. The phone company can't disconnect your phone service because of what you talk about on the phone. That's a platform.
Yeah, but the phone service was declared as a utility. I mean, that's different. But
we are hitting the point where Facebook, Twitter, these mediums are hitting such a large scale that they are almost utilities. They are the new modern version of utilities. You cannot survive in the business world without a Facebook presence, without a Twitter presence. Like, yes, technically you can, but realistically you fucking can't.
They're a private company who has the right to protect their brand, which means they have the right to establish their own terms of service and conditions, and then they can ban and create and punish.
Then why doesn't AT&T?
I don't know. Does AT&T not have that ability? If they had a policy against robo-dialing or whatever else, and somebody's just burning through phone lines constantly, can they turn that line off? Maybe. I don't know. But the problem is AT&T's brand's not going to be affected because somebody's dialing off of their their thing. But if Twitch continues to allow, open white supremacist Twitch channels of, that's going to affect Twitch's brand. They have the right to protect their brand. And that's what it's going to come down to. They're not going to fall under FCC. They're going to be a platform because it's impossible to regulate. We run into the issues. Facebook is now...
Well, Twitch isn't the only streaming company either. People live stream on YouTube. People live stream on Mixer's, the Xbox version. Is Discord only chat, or do they actually have streaming capabilities?
It's only chat, but I mean, you can stream to just your friends directly, but nothing open like that. And Mixer, geez Louise, talk about a dead platform.
Yeah, and man, Microsoft, they try, man. Zune.
They're killing it, especially with their new rules and regulations about trash talk. They're really making sure that they have everyone.
And that's another thing
platform.
too, is Xbox just updated their terms of service for this shit. Like, where right now everything is geared towards like the things that 90% of society can agree on. The danger lies in when they veer off that. When they start catering to the SJWs of the world, to the far left, the far right, and because once again, when you go on Twitter and you go on these platforms, the people that have the loudest voices are usually the minority in these subjects. The actual masses who buy video games, the actual masses who play these things and do these things aren't the ones on Twitter and Reddit and stuff complaining. They're not the ones, you gotta
be careful about the ones that aren't saying something, right? So I'm not a huge trash talker. I'm not I'm pretty silent when it comes to my gaming and whatnot. But after reading something like what Microsoft was doing, how they're going to be looking through messages and everything like that, I think privacy is a premium in a world right now where we have very little of it. And let's put it this way. A few days ago, I owned an Xbox. I no longer own an Xbox. I own a PlayStation 4. So we're, while we are the quiet, we make huge decisions. I think companies understand that too. So... we'll see. It's a shame that we all just can't get along, and it'll never happen between console wars and between what genre of games are better, what universe is better. But I think overall, it's sad that we have become such an inflammatory culture in gaming, and how that's affected a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is there are problems in gaming. It can be a very toxic culture at times, and how do we want to handle these things? How do we want, and like you said, no one wants to take personal accountability. No one wants to be the one that just say like, sorry about it. I watch chicks with boobs play video games, and that's what I'm going to do.
Those Tide Pod eaters, man. What is that? Generation Z is the Tide Pod eaters? Yikes. You were worried about the millennials. No, it's the Tide Pod eaters that put us here.
So it's dangerous territory. I said the other day, I come from the teabagging days of Halo 2, where you got murked and you got called every kind of bitch ass pussy motherfucker with a Master Chief set of balls in your visor, and I didn't it is kind of like you look back on it, it can't be good, but it also
made me a better person.
It also wasn't bad. It didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't get suicidal thoughts because I wasn't good at Halo 2.
You got better because you didn't want it to happen again.
The fact that, some people hear that kind of talk and take it into a bad place, again, it makes us cater to the minority. Do I want anybody to hit massive depression because they lost in a video game and someone gave them a bunch of shit about it? No, I don't wish that upon anybody. But as a very proud shit talker, when I whoop your ass, I'm going to fucking let you know you suck balls. I just beat you. Do something about it, loser. And I don't want to lose that either. I don't want to lose my ability to have fun and rib people, because I am that asshole. I'm the asshole that when I win, I let you know I won, and when I lose, I fucking take it.
I turn off my
Reminder: 15 minutes ago, Steve was just talking about how bad he sucks at video games. So
certain games.
I agree.
Certain Twitch stream games. Certain Twitch stream games.
Yeah.
I'm an RPG guy at heart, so I don't play too many competitive games. But I handle my own in Overwatch. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
You put me in a Call of Duty situation. Nah, that ain't my shit. Like that ain't mine.
It's all another thing. And if we get on a Fortnite, I swear to God, I'll turn.
What,
this
you ain't flossing?
off.
You ain't flossing, homie?
Hell no. There is no way in hell you're gonna get me to floss. Fortnite.
There's certain competitive
that
ranks like
Sucks.
Madden, Fortnite, PUBG, Call of Duties, Halos. They take that shit way too seriously, and I'm at a point in my life where I can't dedicate the time to be competitive in that realm anymore. I get it.
Fortnite has changed gaming forever, though. I don't care whether you play it or not or care about it, but Fortnite has changed the gaming model
for the better. I think
this is not over. What Fortnite has done.
I know.
So.
League of Legends is like that too, though.
I was gonna say, since we're on these big competitive kind of video games and the toxicity that comes with it, it's a great time to switch over to League of Legends. It's got a huge community.
It's like the most toxic out of everyone that you could ever think of.
Uber competitive, but I do think because it's not console, you guys are shielded from a lot of the criticism that comes with it.
You know what? So League is such an interesting game, and before I really got into it, I didn't understand mentally how important it is to be prepared to play the game. That because of something that you read, because League is infamous for the amount of flaming that happens. If you mess up your jungle camps, if you're jungling, if you miss a CS, which means that you are killing a minion in order to get gold and whatnot. If you don't execute your abilities, you are getting flamed by your team, especially at lower elos, which is also another way of saying lower rankings.
I compare that to the amount of tension and screaming in a 40-man World of Warcraft raid. So
yeah, I imagine. I mean, it's insane to me, but I think that's where being in a community like with Super League and playing for the Chicago Force is different, because when you're playing online with somebody, you have this disconnect. You can say whatever you want. They're this disembodied voice, or they are just this person on the other side of a screen. When you get next to people, it forces you to build that camaraderie and whatnot.
Hey, I had some LAN party raids, bro.
Back in the day, hooking up the Xboxes for Halo and whatnot. Yeah, absolutely. I remember that. Hey, listen, I'm not that young.
8 out of 10 members in my house for a KZ run one day.
That's a throwback.
Now, you started talking a bit about about your semi-pro and being a part of the league. Can you give us some background for the individuals who really don't even know about the semi-pro league, about what you're doing and kind of how the league plays out as far as the championships and seasons and stuff?
Absolutely.
There's a 3-time, not one but two,
not two,
3-time,
not 2, 3. So I
into Ric Flair.
Woo! I am actually an ambassador for SLG, so this is great. So what you can do is go to superleaguegaming.com. I believe they're even down to Super League at this point. They just went public as a company, which is
that's
awesome
huge.
For them.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and just shows that the type of support they're going to give. But you go there and you sign up for our events. Now, we have events that go on while the season, there's an off season, which are called LAN Prees, and you can get involved in those right now in a whole bunch of cities all over the United States. But how it initially was the first season is you signed up, no matter what elo you were, if you were one of the 60 selected, you would be on the team. And out of something like 7,000 or 8,000 people, I got to be one of the 60 in Chicago. And how it breaks down is there are teams based upon your rank, right? So the diamonds and Master tier, there is a team full of those, and those are your team A, and it goes all the way down to your team. For the first season there was team L. They've cut the teams from 60 to 30 people now, so it's even harder to make the team, which I think is great because it gives a more competitive product. But I mean, season 1, our team L, which should have been our worst team, was the reason we won by 1 point and won our first championship. Like, it's crazy, right? So how it's broken down is the teams that are less experienced or maybe not as good, they contribute less points to your teams than the higher tier teams do. So it's on and the whole goal is to just get more points than the other city. We all get together at a theater on our laptops, and we play, and depending on the team that gets the most points, that's the team that wins. They go on to the next one. So it's been surreal, man. I've been interviewed by a few other websites and whatnot, and feeling like here I was at the time I think I was 31, because it was before I got even married. It's when I was dating my wife at the time is when I started playing like on a semi-pro level. And just being able to meet all these people and have 60 people that are your friends right off the bat, and to go to war with them, and to during the week scrim with them and learn from higher tier players, and having higher tier players that never would talk to lower tier players, helping them out. So it's such a positive experience in gaming when there is this kind of inherent toxicity, especially that usually plagues League of Legends, and to be on for your city. Like the first year was we won by 1 point. The second year we lost the first half of every game. So we were losing at the first half by a ton, came back. So the second year was known as the second half buff. Actually, no, second year we pounded people. Third year was the second half buff, where every time we'd come back. And we finally lost to Seattle, so shout out to them. They have been working their tails off to get to this point, and I remember how great it felt. Everyone hated us, it's Patriot syndrome, where after you keep winning all the time, people will hate you regardless of how good your talent is. So yeah, it's just been absolutely surreal. So I really encourage people to sign up. We lose a lot of people that are either going away to college or can't play anymore. So we are looking for fresh talent. If you sign up during the season, which we have one that should be coming up soon over the next few months, feel free to type this in: M as in Matt Bosko, Bosko 10. So M Bosko 10 into the promo code, and you can sign up at superleague.com, and you'll get a discount on our events and signing up for the team. So you make there's a whole bunch of days of qualifiers too. Those are a grind, man. Qualifiers, that you really earn a place on this team. So if you want to be a part of something special, especially Chicago, we have a winning tradition. We are a great team. We embrace our teammates, and we'd love to have you be a part of it. So feel free to sign up.
Yeah, that's awesome, and we'll make sure that, along with any other links that you want to share with us, Matt, we'll put in the show notes at the nerdcantina.com/show7. Yeah. And we'll make sure we include all those.
One more thing real quick. Also, we've got, for Heavy Metal Machines, we've got a big tournament coming up, 5K euros. So I want people part of the Nerd Cantina to show out and jump on. It's a free to play game, so check that out as well.
Free to play and real money to win.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that. Cool, can't beat that.
Yeah. I wanted to circle back because you were talking about the community and everything else being great, but as far as before you get to the community, the level of personal training, right?
It's insane
in video games. Like, yeah, what does it look like? What is it for you to get to that point and then to kind of keep yourself at this level? What does training look like?
So training is, and I come from a background of playing sports, so training is mentally, it's incredibly taxing, and even on your body in a way that you don't expect. I mean, sitting in the same place, you think, oh, you're sitting down, but getting tense, feeling that stress in your shoulders is pretty nuts. So thankfully I have a dog now, so I can get out and walk a little bit more. But it consists of watching video like high tier pro players like your TSM Bjergsen, like Double Lift. Those are pretty big names in the league community. So you watch that play style and go, how can I emulate that? Getting your ass kicked a lot when I first started playing League, it's hilarious now knowing what I know, what it looked like, but it's allowing yourself to get your ass kicked, knowing that you're going to get better. And that's what I love about MOBAs and games like League of Legends. The difficulty doesn't change. You are really playing against yourself. Yes, you're going to have some harder opponents, but if you master your champion, this is the biggest bit of advice for newer players. Don't go in trying to play every champion you can because you want to play them because they look cool. Find the one that looks awesome to you. Find the one that you think has the coolest abilities and play them for 100 games straight, no matter how tired you feel of getting it. So that's one of the things. I mean, I'm a support main when it comes to the team. So I have to understand cooldowns of abilities. So I have to go in, figure out the cooldowns when they're used, have to do the quick math and be able to put that out to my team. I have to look at who I have to heal. I have to ward areas to be able to see. A ward is something in the game that allows you to see because there's like fog of war in areas that you are not. So it allows you to see where the jungler is. It's insane the amount of mental training that you have to do.
How much does equipment play into your ability? So I know from as a Warcrafter, having a mouse with extra buttons on the thumbs to have key bindings, like the video resolution. What kind of video you have to spend $300 on a video card just to be able to see detail enough to be good? Like where does equipment fall into talent?
It's a great question. So the great thing about League is that it was designed to be able to play on the shittiest laptop that you have, because they want people to have access to it. And honestly, I have a really nice rig now, and I still don't play on max settings because I want to be able to have the ability to be able to have everything run as smoothly as possible. I don't need things to look pretty. I just want to be able to do them as quickly as I can. So you really don't need a lot. I personally, I'm at a point where I'm very happy with where I am in my life. So I've got the G910 wireless mouse that charges on the pad. I've got the G910 keyboard, mechanical keyboard. But I have friends who are higher than me that are playing on a cardboard table with a Asus laptop and the most base version of an HP mouse you can find. So that's the beauty of it. Yes, it helps you from a comfort level and what feels good in your hand, the type of weight that you like in a mouse. But the great thing about this game is you don't need all of that stuff. It's not the end all be all unless you get to that pro level where you are at the top of the stage. Then I'm sure it matters. But I think it's great because this when you find out, I've got a buddy of mine who's got a pretty shitty rig, but he's one of the best players I know. So it's wild.
Yeah, I just know from my Warcraft days that some people focus on the wrong aspects, so they want to see the fingers twirl as somebody casts it, and it's like you really don't need to see that shit. Like in order to be on a level, competitive level, the visuals are nice, but they're not essential to actual gameplay. Do you find having like I said, a mouse? So I have a gaming mouse that has two a right and left click, a wheel in the middle, but it also has a separate number D-pad 1 through 12 on my thumb, so I could.
Is that a Corsair?
Yeah, I think so.
See, isn't it crazy? I mean, you just get to know that stuff when you're looking for mouses and whatnot. Yeah, I think in your case, possibly, but for League of Legends, no. I mean, I know that you can keybind some stuff. You might be able to keybind some like pings to like keep people aware of what's going on without having to type it in, which is helpful. But I for League of Legends, no, I don't think that benefits you on a crazy level. So
in the competition level, or even just in League of Legends in general, because I'm not too familiar with it, is it a game that allows mods, like cooldown mods, independent mod makers to alleviate some of that, or is
you'll get permanently banned for the rest of your life if you use that. So because it's so competitive and because there is so much money in the esports side of things, there is a huge priority on integrity in the game. So League of Legends is not a single player game. It is a 5v5 MOBA that happens on the same map every time, so you can kind of plan things and whatnot. So yeah, you're not going to find any type of mods outside of buying skins for your character, which can... I looked the other day and it's insane how much money I've spent on this game. But it's thankfully it's over the course of 6 years. But I'll never tell my wife. I'll never tell her. She probably knows though. She sees the credit card statement.
For new people trying to get into the game, so I played it years ago. My younger brother was into it. I used to play it a bit. Never got too serious in it. But part of like the barrier is finding a group that's cordial enough to play in, that you can get into a Discord channel with and kind of help you through the process, because it's got a pretty steep learning curve that you got to get into, and you can get turned away pretty fast if you're at the bottom of that learning curve and nobody was giving you the time of day. What's a good way for somebody to get started and find a good group to grow with?
That's a great question. So you can come to, you can find us at Super League on Facebook. You can find us there, and we have a Super League of Legends community, and I'll send the link over. But jump in. We're real supportive. If you're streaming, if you have questions and whatnot, yeah, you're gonna get trolled a little bit. I think that's normal. But the great thing is the amount of resources people have now versus when you were probably playing towards one of the first seasons, right? So now they have, you can get free online coaching for positions that you're interested in. There are videos on YouTube that do a really good job of breaking down micro and macro of playing the game. Playing in general is the best way you're going to get better. It's tough, right? But I almost like that there is that barrier of entry, because it really weeds out the instant gratification people versus the people willing to put the work in. And I think that's interesting. The big issue right now with League of Legends is how many what we like to call Smurf accounts that there are, which are players that are at higher levels that are playing at a lower level just to feel better about themselves. And so that's tough. And I suggest it too. I mean, I think a lot of people equate what elo they're in, like it means something about who they are as a person. And I think they need to stop that. It doesn't at all. You need to play it for fun. You need to find, like I said, find one or maybe two champions that you really like and play them really well, because knowing those champions down to every scenario that they could be in, you're going to beat the guy who can't stop playing all 143 of them, or however there are now. So focus on that. But yeah, there's communities all over Facebook. You just got to find your people, right? And I suggest even playing with somebody else who's brand new. If you're like really, really interested, find a buddy to start playing with, because at least if you're getting your ass kicked, you got somebody to laugh about it with. So yeah, you can reach out to me too. Feel free to reach out to me. I love teaching new players and whatnot. My son is gonna be 12 pretty soon, and if you don't think I've got my son playing League of Legends with the college scholarships that people are handing out, you're crazy. So there are colleges that are handing out college scholarships for League of Legends players.
That's one of the interviews we're setting up for the future. I at C2E2 I was able to speak to the DePaul E team's head administrator, and we're setting up a meeting to where we could have a sit-down interview with them and talk about the opportunities to be a amateur gamer in college and have some of your school paid for by doing what essentially a lot of these people love.
Yeah, I got offered it wasn't a huge scholarship, but I did get offered a scholarship by Robert Morris to play League of Legends. I had to turn it down at the time, but
I have a friend who has a son that is playing for Robert Morris on a scholarship right now.
What a world we live in, boys. What a world we live in. I hope that answered your question, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's a tough game just to jump in, but I've still found, again, I had my brother who had his group of friends, so I had a way in, but I could see it being a bit daunting for somebody who's just trying to jump in, and you don't want to be the guy who's just running around in circles, just practicing it over and over again, while the other 4 are just shouting in your ear about getting.
Well, that's
work.
a good thing. You can actually mute chat, so you never need to see that. So you can just focus on what you're doing. Like I said, focus on 2 champions, watch the videos, reach out to people in the community. We'll help you out.
Yeah. But part of the problem with muting other people is the game requires that interplay with the others, and when you try to just go isolated, now you're losing a big aspect of the game that you have to learn anyway.
True. Pings. That's why they're so important, though. That's why pings are so important, right? Like, so at least you can convey what you, because at the end of the day, people are going to run around and be idiot. Like, you're not going to find everybody takes it as seriously, right? So there's some games where you're just going to have to throw your hands up and go, well, what can I learn this game that's going to prepare me for the next one? So
I think a theme with people that want to get into gaming is you do need to develop a little bit of thick skin.
Oh yeah.
You know, you can't control what other people are going to say. You can't control the frustration level of other people. So you as a person need to go into these new experiences as someone that can handle that kind of criticism, that kind of frustration. Because if you can't, then you're really not going to find a safe space in gaming for you. You know, it's a tough market out there.
Yeah, you're gonna be playing a lot of single player games. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, stick to Tomb Raider.
So, with to transition a little bit from League of Legends into you talk about heavy metal machines.
Yes.
Can you talk about what that game is? What kind of gamer is that really appealing to? Because that's something that really is new to me. When you mentioned that you're part of that project now, I personally hadn't heard much about it.
We are newer, so it is another MOBA-esque game, kind of likely. It's the game for you if you are tired of League of Legends and Dota, and you are tired of all the toxicity there, and you like Rocket League and Twisted Metal. It's like the love child of Rocket League and Twisted Metal. So it's 4v4 car battling, but there's a bomb or a ball in the middle that you're trying to get around. It's an isometric view, and you're trying to get it in the goal. First team to get 3 goals wins. And there's everything from a transporter, which those are really good at carrying the bomb. There's the interceptors, which is really good bringing in the damage. And then there's supports that are either protecting or healing the other vehicles. And we just actually had a new interceptor come out, Peacemaker. Very cool, part of our metal pass right now. So we do a pass much like a lot of the battle royale games, right, where you sign up for the pass. You can still get free stuff just by playing, but if you want to get some of the premium stuff, $10. I mean, I'll put it this way: our premium pass is 20 times better than Apex Legends Season 1 premium pass, which has been notoriously aflamed by the entire community. So check us out. It is such a different type of game. I don't know, you guys were back in the Nintendo days. I don't know if you remember a game called RC or RC Remote, and you were like this little truck that kind of went around.
RC Pro-Am, bro.
RC Pro-Am. That's
RC
it.
Pro-Am, bro.
So,
come on now.
So it gives me some RC Pro-Am vibes with how you're looking down at things.
I got that shit on my Xbox One. They came out with that Rare Replay game with like 30 old games made by Rare, and that was the first one I dipped into, was that RC Pro-Am.
Yeah, so the great thing about heavy metal is too, there is not the learning curve that there is with games like League of Legends and whatnot. You can pick that up, and within 5 matches, I think that you could be you have a good gist of what you're doing, and you can be pretty good at it too. And like I said, because we're growing right now, we're really benefiting people. So if people download it from this episode, okay, if you listen to this episode, you get to this point, you download Heavy Metal Machines, go ahead and put it in the comments below. I will give you a free skin for one of the people in Heavy Metal Machines. I've got the freedom to do that. So if you are listening to the Nerd Cantina right now, just bring it up in the comments, and these guys will reach out to me. I'll make sure to get you a free skin in the game.
Booyah, Kasha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you think that the people who are already pretty competitive in things like Rocket League, their skills are going to come over and pretty immediately compete on this level?
No, because there's no flipping around like in Rocket League, right?
Okay.
I think the only sense to Rocket League is you have this ball and you have to get it to a goal, but as a transporter, you're kind of stuck to this path while everybody else can kind of come in on you and try to take the ball away. So it's interesting, right? So yes, in a sense, to have the idea of you need to score a goal, and you can get creative with where you bounce it, and the driving ability, right? But for the most part, no. I mean, I feel like everyone truly kind of starts out on a level playing field, and we've got a great community. You can join our Discord. Check me out every Tuesday night on twitch.tv/heavy metal machines, and I play with the community. So if you want to play, jump in, let me know in chat, and we'll play. It'll be great.
Well, Matt, anything else that you have for the audience? Well, you got a couple ears to chat about.
Not really. Thanks for the opportunity, you guys. It's been fun. I love to nerd out. It's nice to finally meet you, Ken, and Steve, to talk with you again. I know that the first time me and Steve met, we just nerded all over the table at our significant other's company Christmas party. So
where literally
that was a
the
fun
wife
time.
had to move his seat, like, you two assholes sit in a corner because nobody gives a shit about what you're talking about.
You're right. You're 100% right. I appreciate the opportunity, you guys, and it's been really fun to
we appreciate you blocking out some time in your afternoon and doing this. And I know it's can be a little hectic scheduling these things and fitting these kinds of things into your everyday life. So we appreciate you taking some time and hanging out today.
No problem.
All right. Well, with that said, I want to thank everybody for listening to episode 7 of the Nerd Cantina Show. We appreciate the following that we have so far. Again, the overall goal of this show is to establish a community, and we're doing that with each episode. We're doing that through our Facebook group. Again, you can find us at thenerdcantina.com/community to join and continue these conversations with other nerds who are also a fan. We try not to troll each other too hard over there, but there's some healthy debate that's taking place. We'd appreciate if you'd come out. Also, if whatever podcast player you're listening on, if you haven't already subscribed previously, please just hit that subscribe button, and a rating and review on iTunes is a big help as we're trying to further our reach, further our audience, and iTunes still dominates this podcast space. Thanks again for sticking around for the conversation, and goodbye.
See you next week.